Peace, everybody. It's your boy Sly Boogie, the Telvanni King, the unending. Whatever. What's good, everybody? Just back with some Elder Scrolls. Wanted to just kind of showcase something a bit more low tier, and let's get to it. So this is the Deadlands deck here in question. This is a deck that kind of showcases the what's the word? Synergy, I guess would be the best term. The synergy between skeletons and spirits. This is pretty much a deck that has that particular as its just main gist. This is the stick. Now, let's also just take some time to kind of speak about the MVP cards, the most valuable pieces that I'd recommend that you have in the collection. First thing is, I do recommend that you have 3 copies of Skeleton's Champion. I go into some more detail later about why. But I definitely want to highlight that I do feel like you have to have 3 copies of Bone Colossus. So obviously this is a legendary, but it is recommended. And to be honest, I recommend this card overall as a whole. Just looking at the effect, this is a card that can pretty much put 11 attack in general on one side right off the rip. So this is just worthy in every sense of being a boss monster. 7 cost, just big beat 'em up motherfucker. So I actually recommend that you have 3 copies of that. I do recommend 3 copies of Mummify because you have a lot of initially weak monsters, I guess, for lack of a better term. They can get stronger over time, but this is for just big beat sticks that pop on the field that you just want to eliminate. And as a prophecy, it has come in handy so many times. I run 2 copies of Lightning Bolt, only because I'm not really thirsty to do direct damage in terms of actions. I have my monsters doing the work for me. And I'm trying to keep it tight to 50, so 2 Lightning Bolts is what I had to kind of squeeze in, not 3. I definitely run 3 Icy Shambles. This is definitely one of the newer cards in the most recent one. This game is old. But anyway, this is definitely a card I recommend due to the fact that it's a skeleton. It does 2 damage and it shackles anything that it damages. So this is just so much utility packed into one card, and due to the fact it's a skeleton, it just builds off of so many cards. And of course, I guess these are cards I teched in. Black Soul Gem was a card I teched in due to the fact that I have my low cost monsters dying. But to be honest, that's kind of give or take. I do strongly recommend that you have Training Grounds over Black Soul Gem just due to the initial summon and just automatic boost that the monsters get right off of just hitting the field. Yeah, I do run 2 because, again, I have Black Soul Gem doing the job. I don't think you need 3 on the field. Again, these are all interchangeable. To be honest, I'm probably going to make some changes in the future. But I strongly recommend Training Ground. And as the most recent card from the last month reward, I definitely recommend just giving it a shot here, seeing how you like it. And who do I else want to recommend? Wake the Dead. It's a search card and kind of thins out everything, gets you pretty much access to every monster in the deck, and pretty much give you the card you need. I feel like this is very self-explanatory. Searching in the deck is a great thing, and it just gives you so much speed and access to what you need. Easy automatic recommendation. It's common. There's really no reason why you don't have this at 3. This is also a new beat stick, and I do recommend this at 3 as well because at 2 cost 2/2. It's doing a lot of damage, and when it dies, it'll bring another 1/1 skeleton to replace it. It's nothing, game breaking in turn 8, but in terms of starting to duel off, this is something that you like to just see early. In addition to Deathless Draco as well, still doing the same thing, just lower attack, lower cost. But again, this is just in regard to utility and just getting your monsters out. And again, you have replacements when they die. Skinned Hound, I actually am going to probably change this to 3. I actually think this card has so much utility in terms of the fact it can give any creature, not just my creatures, but it can give your opponent's creatures guard. So if you have someone in the shadow lane, this pretty much gives them guard and pretty much removes their cover. So I feel like this has great utility, great use, and yeah, I'm gonna definitely change this to 3. I have no idea why I have this at 2. This card is bonkers. It gives great utility. Sorcerer's Negation as well, just to kind of not just silence, but do 2 damage. So I can kill a lot of cards with it. That's really the reason why I run this over mute, because I can do 2 damage and silence at the same time. So great utility. So where was I? I don't want to go too much on a tangent. I'm gonna kind of slow it down. I've talked about a lot of cards. So Bone Colossus is important. Now let's talk about some other one-off cards. This is a card, I'm going to probably redo this build. I should probably say that. I want to probably experiment with Galen and see if I can get additional copies of this in the deck. I feel like, well, in terms of talking about Vastari, or Vastari, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, pretty much is just a baby Bone Colossus, if we're being quite honest. And also, instead of boosting every other monster, she boosts herself only. So the reason why I want to experiment with that, because at turn 5 or turn 4, depending if I'm going second, I feel like this has great strength in terms of putting a lot of power in the field. And just looking at her stats, again, this is minus any sort of other stats that may be on the field or may be present and active prior to that. So this is why I'm thinking about trying to experiment with her more. You have other cards that can just boost the hell out of it. And again, I'm just curious to see what happens if I have multiple copies of this in the hand, or just having access to more copies overall throughout the match. So that's something I'm thinking about in terms of experimentation later. So what I want to do here is a kind of in and out, back and forth approach with explaining the deck. So I would jump between the actual match and then go into detail for specific plays that come up during the playthrough. Right now it's early, so the idea is to slowly stack up and deliver my opponent down.
Preparations have been made.
So this is looking like a clear disadvantage. However, I kind of already know my opponent is going to kind of rush it down. So the plan for me is to outlast them and then overwhelm them. It's just a matter of being able to weather out the storm in terms of the additional attacks he's going to make until I stabilize with some proper cards. Then I can pretty much control and pretty much get game. That's the idea. That's what I'm hoping for.
I have no patience for fools.
Watch this.
My scales move in shadow.
Size alone belies this one's power. Size alone belies this one's power.
Let's knock some heads.
Feel the power of the moon.
I will cut your purse and your throat.
So what I like about the skeletons is their built-in synergy in terms of boosting other skeletons. Not like this, for example, Skeleton Champion is a guard that gives other friendly skeletons 1/1. So he'll be a block, and then he'll give the potential to give other allies to either, regardless whether they have guard or not, as long as they skeletons, they can be able to punch and push through. So obviously this is just one example. Skeleton Champion is a 4/4 guard, but the king is Bone Colossus, and the fact that he fills up the lane then boosts him. So cards like this can really, this is a boss monster in every form of fashion. Like, he comes in, puts monsters on the field, and then boosts them. So this is a priority to kill immediately. But again, just speaking to the fact that they boost their other allies naturally. Other cards in the set that just put in work, I rarely use Grim Champion, but it's the fact that when they die, there is a kind of natural effect that they do something. Like, this kind of has a, I don't want to say Telvanni kind of structure, but you know, they have effects where you can kind of take advantage of it when they die. And again, they boost others in their own unique way. So anyway, back to the gameplay. At this point, the goal is to stay alive. My opponent is in rush mode, so he'll be out of resources if I more or less reinforce what I already have in the field. So yeah, that's the overall objective. That to me was a very weak play. That did nothing to strengthen his position, nothing to really enhance his defense. To be honest, that was a distraction at least. So when I see shit like that, that's for me like a sign for me to kind of get in my zone and really start getting ready to counter KO. You see my hand, it's just a matter of setting it up properly. The first major thing I want to do now is just get guard going on both sides, and that is the start of really locking this duel up. Because if I block both sides, like you've seen the cards he's playing, there's really nothing really strong that he's going to really put out there to, you know, punch through that. So this is the beginning of the end, more or less. Now, I attacked and broke the rune here. I talked earlier about not giving my opponent any additional cards in my earlier turn where I did not attack. Now, I'm set here right now, so I don't care. The attack that I made, for me, was respectfully in a non-verbal way of saying fuck you to my opponent. Fuck your privacy, fuck your hand, and fuck your deck, since you want to kind of rush me down like a little bitch. That's just how I feel when I make those plays. Not that I'm actually talking to my opponent like that, or I would, but that's just how I feel in that kind of gameplay. You know, when your opponent's kind of rushing you down and really just kind of like rush. And you kind of get them in that zone where it's like, nah, you ain't gonna rush me anymore, motherfucker. That's that moment where I'm in right now. I pretty much have
By the
control.
aid of fire.
So Peace Duelist, that is pretty much the gist of it in terms of just the gameplay. It's very straightforward in terms of the summon mechanic. Obviously you can interchange, like for example, Grim Champion I run one of, you can definitely take that out depending on how you feel. I run Necromancer, and I threw that in there for shits and giggles, if we're being honest. Again, this is not, I wouldn't say this is a strong deck overall, because again, Sorcerer's Negation in terms of weaknesses is something that kills this deck a lot. Like a lot of the cards here just straight die to that. I mean, there's just so much natural removal. Like if you don't you can get on top of this quick and pretty much shut this down from them doing anything. Obviously destroying the supports, all that jazz. So it's like you have to be, this is a deck that can sneak up on you if your opponent's lazy or not really paying attention. So this is I like to sprinkle it in there, just have some fun. Again, the consistency is cool, and you can definitely have some surprises out of nowhere in terms of just having a strong board and having some strong monsters on the field with it. So yeah, hope you all enjoy. Definitely let me know what y'all suggestions are. I am going to showcase just one more match, and just showcase some clean gameplay and just, yeah, showing off the build and all that jazz. So yeah, more deck ideas will be coming in the future. Hope you guys enjoy. Peace.
You can trust me. There are ill winds this day. Will die, Shapeskin.
What I like about this match is the straightforwardness of it. My opponent is very transparent with his Russian attack nature. Don't get me wrong, that's effective, but it's predictable, and obviously you can see him coming a long way. So what I'm saying all that to say is that the smallest break can disrupt his flow and pretty much end the match. And this is what I mean by disrupt. Guard on both sides on turn 4 is a nightmare if I got Khajiit players.
There are ill winds this day. Surprise! Time to move.
With regard to the move mechanic, or even plain pilfering, I feel the monsters aren't the problem. All the move cards, Thieves' Den support, they all mean nothing without the specific pilfer or monster to take advantage of it. I say that to say that my focus is on removing the monster presence he has in the field. He can have all the cards in his hand all he wants. As long as there's no monsters in the field for him to kind of utilize it, I'm fine.
I will spill your blood.
Another.
The forest will not suffer your presence.
This one will protect us on the roads.
Die, Swit.
We must protect our stronghold.
Tajid will enjoy feasting on your bones.